Hi everybody, and welcome to our coverage of the final of the 2023 Marcel Linares Memorial Open Doubles Final from Newcastle. Here's the trophy itself that the teams are playing for. And here are the teams with Sai and Kierran in the red and white tie shirts versus Patrick and Bernard. And it's Patrick to begin with a good point. You can see the blue coche there on the right. Those are the complementaire and convivial finals, which are occurring on the lanes behind. Sai now to respond for their team. First end. I think that's good enough to hold. They're having a look. I'm not quite sure. And indeed it is. So Patrick moving to the ring. And that's a beautiful point from Patrick. It's been a great tournament to date. There have been 30 teams over the weekend here in Newcastle at Newcastle Petanque, and a pretty good standard of competition. But the rest have fallen by the wayside, leaving these two teams. Kierran now to the ring. Kierran, surely one of Australia's most successful petanque players over some time. And you can see why. He's dislodged that beautifully. Now the coche did move, which I think means that Sai has to point again. But there is more room, and a pointer of Sai's terrific consistency. Chances are good he'll hold here. And that's indeed the case. He's about a jack or so behind the coche. That's absolutely beautiful pointing. Which brings Bernard to the ring for the first time. Bernard's shooting in the course of this competition has been a distinguishing feature of the progress of their team. Let's see if he can keep that form into the final. He's got that one away. Just checking again to see whether they hold, and indeed they do, which brings Sai back to the ring. Good shot from Bernard. That one has rolled in and is in front of the coche, just slightly in front and to the left, which brings Bernard back to the circle to see whether he can dislodge it. Very consistent pointing from Sai. It's not an easy surface to point on, and he's done a great job this opening end. That one's just short and just wide from Bernard, leaving Sai holding. 2 balls on 2. All the players taking a lot of care to pat down a donné, a place to land on the piste, because it is it's pitted and gravelly. It's important to land in the right spot. What a beautiful point there from Patrick. Absolutely beautiful point. Took a glance off Sai's ball and rests directly in front of the coche. 2 balls on 1. Can Kierran remove that? And of course, not dislodge Sai's ball at the same time. Just long. Just long. Boys now having a discussion about the best way to achieve their goal here. Is it to point or to shoot? Coming to the end of this end, they won't want to make it too easy for the other team to score any more points. Good start, important in this final. Oh, Kierran shoots, and I think he's just glanced at the ball, rocked back, but still holds. So that leaves Patrick and Bernard with 1 ball left and holding 1. So can they add to their points tally for this opening end and make it 2? There's not a lot of room there. Bernard having a good look at the angle. Also thinking about Adonai, where to land the ball. He's probably only got 20 centimetres, something like that. He gave it a good loop, but the ball was too heavy and has gone through, leaving 1 point to Bernard and Patrick, who take an early lead after the first end. Patrick's thrown the cosh. I would have said something like about 8.5 metres, something like that, for this second end. Let's see how close he can get with his opening ball. Pretty good. It's just behind. It's probably 40 centimetres behind, 50 centimetres behind. So that leaves some room for Sai to exploit. And let's see if he can get closer to the cosh, and particularly be in front. Very hot, gusty conditions here, not easy to play. You can see the movement in the palm trees behind. It's been a very sapping weekend, hot conditions for early spring. Beautiful point from Sai, right on the cosh. Bernard has no choice really but to shoot, try and dislodge it. And he does so with a beautiful carrow, with a little recul. Let's have a little look here in replay. You can see the fingers curling straight back and pointing at the ball that he's aiming for. The ball hits au feu on the full and recoils back, leaving Patrick and Bernard holding 2 balls on the ground and putting Sai back in the ring. Beautiful shot there from Bernard. As I say, his shooting in this tournament to date has been a highlight of the way they've progressed to the final. Certainly going to be a challenge to surmount for Kierran and Sai. But Sai's back. It is that consistency as a pointer that is really critical. And consistency too from the shooter. Beautiful carreau from Bernard. It's like a magic trick. He's replaced one ball with another. That time the ball was slightly shorter of the target ball, but when it landed, it bounced straight and cushioned into the target ball and replaced it like a magic trick. So suddenly, Bernard and Patrick hold 3 points on the ground. Challenge really laid down early to Kierran and Sai with accurate shooting from Bernard. Well, Kieran's managed to dislodge that. He's a bit unlucky in that the ball he hit rebounded. So that leaves Bernard and Patrick still holding 2. But there's plenty of room there for a pointer of Sai's accuracy to take the point again. Which is precisely what he's done. Kosh has moved slightly. Sai's ball is behind the Kosh, but it was a good one. Well, with 2 on the ground, holding second and third in effect, it makes sense for Patrick to have another go, for Bernard to have another shot, I should say. And he shaved it. Chiquet. He's shaved it, but not able to dislodge it, meaning that Kierran and Sai still hold. 2 balls remaining for each team in this end. Patrick now in the ring. And that's a beautiful shot. Perfect shot in that he's rested, if you like, just on the inside of Sai's ball, which makes it very difficult for even a shooter as accurate as Kierran to dislodge it without also moving Sai's ball. Terrific shot from Patrick, who has also been a very well-credentialed petanque player in Australia over many years. All of these 4 players fit that category. Kieran's pointed that first one, but it's short. It's quite a long way short. You can see it's probably the best part of 80 centimetres short of the Kosh. Smooths the surface and then moves back to the ring and regathers for another go. Beautiful point. You can see that one had much greater lob in its trajectory and made its way straight to the Kosh. So if Patrick wants to score a point in this end, he probably has no choice but to shoot, knowing that his own bull is in second position. Let's see if he can remove it with this shot. He's short. He's short and he's missed. So, 1 point all after 2 ends, and it's Sai to launch the Kosh. And that one looks to be a long one. Probably closer to 9.5 metres. Shooter's length. So third end, 1 point apiece. Kierran and Sai to open proceedings. Yeah, pacing that out, definitely looks like it's 9.5. Sai uncertain, in fact. Is it in fact over the limit? Is it beyond 10? Potentially, yep. And the umpire, Jean-Paul, in fact, is moved to check it. He does so with the long tape. And it's good. Gives the thumbs up, 9.8 metres. Worth checking. Sai happy to crouch to point, even at 9.8 metres. He's about 40 centimetres short, something like that, but reasonably straight. So at 9.8 metres, that's a pretty good opening point. Patrick and Bernard, no doubt, having a quick discussion about the traditional question at this point. Do you shoot or do you point? And they've decided to point. Patrick now to respond. It's a beautiful point. He's adjacent to the kosh at 9.8 metres. That's an absolute cracker. Which puts the pressure now on Kierran to respond as the shooter. At 9.8 metres, can he dislodge Patrick's ball? And the answer is, of course, he can. Beautiful shot from Kierran. Again, 9.8 metres. Which, of course, means that with those bulls both dead, Sai's ball holds, meaning it's Patrick's turn to play. So can he come up with another one? As I said before, it's... look, I guess with 3 bulls, it's theoretically possible to put one on the kosh most times, but can you put 2, can you put 3 each end as a pointer? That's really what separates the excellent pointers from the others. Lovely loop there again from Patrick, and he's behind the kosh but holds. So interesting change of tactics here is that with 20 or 30 centimetres to spare, Sai's happy to take this on as a point. Kierran is not shooting. Again, Patrick standing to point where Sai is squatting. That one took a not such a good bounce. It was notable just before then that Sai didn't check the landing spot, didn't create a donne, a space for himself to land, and that one, as soon as it bounced, it kicked left and away from the kosh. Third and last bull from Sai. That's a beautiful point. That is a beautiful point. He is practically touching the kosh. So now the pressure on Bernard. Remember, this is 9.8 metres. It's about as far as it gets in petanque for shooting, for a regular end. He's just short and not straight, pas droit. He's just left. Now, bearing in mind they still have a boule extra in hand, that's 3 balls to 2 for Patrick and Bernard over Kierran and Sai. I'm sure that Bernard will have another go. The other reason too, of course, is that it is Patrick's ball behind the coche. So if the coche moves slightly, is kicked forward, Patrick's ball may well hold. Unfortunately, Bernard missed his target and hit Patrick's bull. So now it looks to me as if potentially Kierran and Sai hold 2 points, because you have Sai's last point and his first bull, which was short of the coche. They may well both hold, meaning they have two points on the ground, if you like. So important for Patrick to get close here. It's funny how things can change quickly in one end of petanque. That's a good one from Patrick and is safely in second position. So already cut the advantage that was held by Kierran and Sai. Let's see what Bernard can do. That one's gone through and behind, so that may be in third place. Hard to tell. But at this stage, they seem to be indicating that Sai may well be in third position, in which case it would be worth Kierran potentially having a shot at Patrick's ball. It may be worth 2. He's smoothing down the ground in front of that black bull of Patrick's. Two balls left now for Kierran and Sai. He's pointing. He's come up with a beautiful point. That is a cracker, so that's 2. Could well be that they've decided that it makes just as much sense and is no fuss, no risk, just a point. Got a bit of space, and that is exactly what they've done for 3 points. Terrific play from Kierran and Sai. Beautiful, accurate pointing to make the score 4 to Kierran and Sai over 1 to Bernard and Patrick. So unfortunate accident there from Bernard, hitting his teammate's ball out, and that opened the door for Kierran and Sai to establish this little lead. And Bernard and Patrick won't want to see this lead get away on them. Another longish end here. Coche has made its way down into the shade. That's a pretty good one to start with. It's about 40 centimetres out, right in front of the coche, something like that. You can just see the coche in amongst the shadow in a little bit of light, about 40 centimetres ahead of that bull. So can Patrick get beyond that bull of size to hold? he has. You can see the contrast in styles there. Again, Sai squatting, Patrick standing, Patrick giving his shot a great deal more air and loop in his lob. And on that occasion it paid off. So still with something like 30 centimetres to play with, Kierran and Sai opt to point. Sai again marking the terrain there, thinking about where he wants to land to give himself every chance of landing smoothly as the ball makes its way to the kosh. And then what a beautiful point that is. He's right on the kosh there. That's a terrific point and puts pressure now on Bernard. Let's see whether he can respond. He's already come up with a couple of carreaux. Be a great time now to come up with a third. Steadies himself. Lovely shot. Beautiful peel. He's got rid of the bull. Not a carreau, but a lovely shot to clear away the holding bull and leave Patrick's safely holding 30 centimetres behind the kosh. Beautiful blue sky day, but hot and windy. It's difficult conditions to play in. It's a little bit like being in a fan-forced oven. Temperature must be well over 30. Grueling, long day for these players. Kierran opts to shoot that bull of Patrick's, but is just long. Looked to be fairly straight, but just long. So again, we're looking at Patrick and Bernard holding a bull advantage and holding the point. So can they convert this opportunity into a successful end? Nice point from Sai, but it looks to be just short. Sai's got two good bulls in front, but neither of them hold. So Kierran and Sai are building something of a protective wall. They have to really think now about whether they continue to play defensively and try to limit any prospect of Patrick and Bernard making a big end, and gros men, or whether they attack Patrick's bull again and take a risk. Kieran's obviously pointing. And he hits that wall, adds to it on the right-hand side. Is it enough to hold?
It's quite an intimidating wall.
Doesn't look that way. They're checking. They're not sure.
Still not easy.
No, it's still Patrick's bull clearly holding behind the kosh. And those three bulls in front in a fan spread out are all Kierran and Sai's. Much more loop there from Kierran, but short. So this looks like an opportunity. 4 bulls in hand and they already hold. Can Patrick and Bernard turn this into un gros men, a big end, and score some big points? They're 4-1 down, remember, so they need this end to count. Can they convert? I guess the first question is, do they need to break that wall up and make a hole? Or can they point around it? Well, given it's Patrick in the, Bernard to play, it looks like they're going to try and make a hole. and he was well short of the wall, leaving it intact. So that's 3 balls left now.
I don't know if it's wide enough to make it to go round and still hold. You know what I mean?
You might be alright as a lefty, swing it in the other way, but as a righty you can see that
It
wall.
doesn't look like it'll go that way.
No. As a righty you've got to barge your way
That's
through.
his discussion now.
Still looks like it's going to go.
Again, do we try to make a hole in that wall, or do we point around it? Patrick Bell to play now.
It's like destiny. Fate.
You just can't get me to you then. No.
He's pointed and he is short. Short and right. You can, just to explain further, I mean, you can see how tentative they are in coming at that wall, because the last thing they would want to do is push any of Kierran or Sai's bulls forward,
No success without danger.
because then they would hold. So at the moment, Patrick and Bernard have 1 point on the ground, and they're struggling to work out how to add to it. High loop to no avail from Bernard. And they choose to take the one with 1 in hand. They're not going to make any mistakes and risk giving Kierran and Sai a point. So that leaves a score at 4-2. Patrick's launched the cosh. It's a slightly shorter end, I'd say, something more like 8.5 metres. So a bit of an opportunity there, that last end, but not easy to get around that wall. So lovely opening point from Patrick. 20 centimetres out, something like that, right in front of the coche. That is boule devant, boule d'argent. The ball in front being the money ball. Which really leaves Kierran no option but to shoot. Let's see what Kierran can do. Beautiful shot. Cleanly dispatched. So Patrick needs to come up with another good point to put the pressure back on Kierran. So far, I'd say that when the pressure has been applied by Patrick and Bernard, Kierran and Sai have had the answers. Another good one, though, from Patrick. Here's Kierran to shoot again. Just takes his time, collects himself. One of the most consistent, rhythmic shooters in Australia. He comes up with a beautiful carro. Again, almost like a magic trick. In slow motion, you can see here the ball coming straight to the target and replacing it in a perfect carro. It always makes me think about those, the waiters who are able to pull the tablecloth out from underneath the plates and glasses, and the plates and glasses stay exactly where they are. It's that kind of magic trick. So now the pressure firmly back on to Bernard and Patrick. And the question is really, can they, bearing in mind it's 2 on the ground for Kierran and Sai at the moment after that beautiful carreau. There just seems to be some momentum with Kierran and Sai. What can Patrick and Bernard do to arrest that? Well, the first thing is a beautiful point, a lovely point from Patrick that rested on Kieran's bull and holds a terrific prominent position in second place. So the question is now, can Bernard dislodge Kieran's bull? He certainly can. Terrific little momentum shift there. Applauded by Patrick. That's a terrific little, little strategic moment, as in a couple of stages they change a situation in their favour. What isn't in their favour, of course, in this end is the bull count. And so it's 4-2 to Kierran and Sai, with Kierran in the ring to shoot Patrick's bull. Again, Kierran not rushing, taking his time, getting into his rhythm. And he shoots successfully. So it's a little microcosm there of what's happening, where you see Bernard and Patrick trying to put some pressure on, working hard, but Kieran's consistency, particularly shooting, backed up by consistent pointing, is making it very difficult for Bernard and Patrick to really, get a foothold, get on the front foot in this final of the 2023 Marcel Linares Memorial Doubles Open Final. That one from Bernard looks to be holding. It's hard to tell. It's in front and it's slightly left. And indeed, it does hold.
Yeah, 2 against 1.
They're just checking, I think. Yep. Patrick gets the tape. It's protocol for players to measure themselves before they ask the umpire. So the boys just check to see who's holding. And indeed, Kierran and Sai still hold.
4 centimetre.
So definitely worth checking.
1 centimetre.
Which means it's 3 bulls on 1 with Bernard to point. Needs this to be close.
Place here in the grandstand.
And it is holding. So it's not right on the cosh, but it's done enough to bring Kierran and Sai to the ring. Well, of course, they're the only ones with bulls left. Apologies, but there's still a little bit of room for Sai to point here. And no need to shoot, but they do know that their bull is second. Lovely point. Sai holds. So they know they have one at least. 2 bulls remaining in this end for Kierran and Sai to add to their tally. They must be tempted to shoot that bull of Patrick's. I think that's what Sai is attempting here. He was indeed shooting and missed. So if it leaves, if he hits, if he's successful, it's worth 2 points. 3 if it's a carrow. Let's see. He misses again. So some relief for Bernard and Patrick in that with bulls in hand, that end only cost them 1, which makes the score Kierran and Sai 5, Bernard and Patrick 2. So a bit of good fortune with 2 missed shots at the end. That could have potentially cost Bernard and Patrick dearly. As it was, it cost them just the 1. Again, a slightly shorter end perhaps, that Sai has thrown the cosh something like around 8.5 metres, something like that. 8 metres. Good opening point. Probably only 20 centimetres from the cosh, something like that. Again, you can see the cosh in amongst the shade. Well, the cosh has moved, so Bernard was not able to hit Sai's bull, but he was able to dislodge the cosh, and the cosh has remained in play. It's not gone out over the dead bull line, and there's plenty of space for Patrick to point in. So it's not a bad outcome for Bernard and Patrick. These things happen when the cosh moves like that. It's sometimes it's intentional, and often it isn't. That's long from Patrick. I think that one may indeed have rolled out and over the dead bull line. You can see the cosh is quite close to the dead bull line, and I think Patrick's bull had too much juice and is dead. So Patrick to go again. And that's a better one. Got the length right that time. So we're talking about now an end that is probably something like 13 metres, 12 metres long, something like that. So this is very testing for both pointers and for shooters. Well, perhaps that's probably not quite right. Maybe it's more like 11 metres, something like that. And again, Sai choosing to squat. And it's a good one. It's a beautiful point. He's probably 30 centimetres out, pretty much right in front of the cosh. You can see the silver ball there on the left, and the cosh being just ahead of that. So Patrick to respond. And it's a long way short. So Patrick has from time to time thrown the ball quite a lot higher than that, but that time it was quite a flat throw. I don't think it came out of his hand properly, and dropped well short of the cosh. So the last 2 bulls for Team Bernard and Patrick are with Bernard. Let's see if he can get any closer. It's not a bad one, it's short. So not bad to be in front, particularly when you look across at Team Kierran and Sai and see 5 bulls remaining. Bernard and Patrick really need to do something here to defend this end and make it a little bit harder for Kierran and Sai to score big. It'd be ideal for Bernard to be sidled up just behind Sai's bull. That's a very good shot. Very good shot indeed. So that's a really good point, and you can see it holds. It's gone into the space around the jack. That's around about 10 and a half, 11 metres that Kierran has just paced out. So that gives you an idea about what he is aiming at. Kierran to shoot at about 11 metres with 5 bulls in hand. This could be a turning point in this final. He is just long. He's long at 10 and a half, 11 metres, he is long. So he refocuses, regathers, and returns to the ring. 4 bulls in hand for Kierran and Sai. They could make a really big lead in this final if Kierran hits here. And he does. That could be a very important moment at 10 and a half, 11 metres. Kierran hits, leaving his team already holding 1 with 3 bulls in hand. So can Sai add to their tally? It looks very close. If it doesn't, it looks very close. They look happy. They tap hands. It looks as though it could easily be 2 already on the ground, par terre, with 2 bulls in hand. That one looks to be short. So just the 2 points then for Kierran and Sai. Apologies, there was 1 bull, that was the last bull that was played in that last end, and Kierran and Sai were able to manage 2 for that end, giving them a 7-2 lead. Umpire Jean-Paul checking again with a long coche throw. Is this legal? It looks to be. Looks to be something like 990. Well, based on the last end, one thing you would say is that even at 990, good shooters like Kierran are not phased and are able to influence and do damage in a game. That's what we saw in the last end. So 7 points to 2, Sai to begin, and the end is just a touch under 10 metres, which of course is the maximum in Petanque. Beautiful shot. Again, quite flat, none of the loop that we've seen from some of the other pointers. Very low trajectory, and the ball rolls amenably straight to the cosh. It's probably something like 20, 25 centimetres out. So what you often get at a time like this is a choice between shooting and pointing. And Patrick has chosen to point. And sometimes people say that it's easier to shoot straight away before there's a bull in the way. And other times, another tactic is to put a good close second in and then shoot. And that's what Bernard and Patrick are attempting to do this end. But Patrick is left that time, and Bernard is left that time, and has missed the ball. So again, just again, even early on in this end, that little bit of pressure comes in. There's already scoreboard pressure at 7-2. They're already a ball down, because Sai's holds and Bernard and Patrick have already had 2. Patrick in the ring now. And using the in-off snooker technique on his own bull, wins the point. Terrific play. And again, you saw the contrast with a significant lob, loop shot, as opposed to the flatter, pointing style, squatting of Sai. Kierran now at the ring. Bearing in mind we are at 10 metres, something like that, just under 10 metres. No problem. Beautiful shot. Slow motion here. Again, look at the fingers uncurling in his shooting hand, pointing at the bull, the target bull. It comes and hits on the full, a little bit of recoil, and it looks to me as though they have now potentially 2 points on the ground. Terrific play from Kierran. You'd certainly say at the moment that Kierran's shooting is really rising to the occasion in this final. That's obvious. Good return from Bernard, who after a couple of difficult shots comes up with a beautiful carrow where he dislodges a holding bull and leaves his own. Terrific shot there from Bernard. Kierran responds in kind with another carrow. Beautiful shot. Again, slow motion, lovely straight backswing. Fingers uncurling towards the target bull. He was a little bit shorter that time, a bit like when Bernard's carrow was successful, rather than hitting on the full, just being slightly shorter. But the momentum of the bull is cushioned when it hits the target bull, and it stops and holds. So a terrific shot response from Kierran. So this final really going up a notch in quality. Both shooters coming up with high quality carrows. Three balls on 2, Kierran and Sai's favour. Patrick's high lob comes up short on that occasion. It's in front, but it still looks as though it's potentially 2 to Kierran and Sai on the ground, with only one bull from from Bernard remaining. So he'll want this to be close. He'll want this to be in front. He'll want it to be in the eye line of Kierran and Sai, in the way. What can he come up with? That's a good one. It's probably second. It's a terrific shot. Oh no, it's out, it's over the line. It's gone just that little bit too far. I thought potentially it was still hanging over the line, but it is not. Patrick removed that very quickly, and that means that with 3 bulls in hand, it looks as though Kierran and Sai hold 2 and can add to their tally here. Well, that was an important event in this final, I think, with that last defensive bull going over the dead bull line, that you can just, the string line there, and meaning that the field is open for Kierran and Sai to add to their tally. And that looks like a beautiful shot there from Sai. So that looks like it could potentially be 3 points, with 2 to come. Another lovely shot from Sai. That one actually is the closest of all of them. Kosh may have moved slightly, may have just brushed the kosh as it went past. Beautiful shot. Sai just indicating to Kierran a good landing spot. And that one's short. So it looks like 4 to Kierran and Sai in this final of the Linares doubles for 2023. And indeed, the score confirmed as Kierran and Sai 11, Bernard and Patrick 2. So there was cut and thrust there with teams swapping carrows, but again, Kierran and Sai, they look strong, they look as though they're not prepared to have the momentum in this final wrested from them. And again, a beautiful point from Sai. He's right on the kosh. It's practically touching. And that means that Bernard really needs to come up with something again. It puts a lot of pressure on the team that's behind, not just the score, but when a pointer is as close as Sai is. And unfortunately, Bernard's missed his first shot. He's quickly taking a second one. And that time he was able to dislodge the bull. Meaning his colleague Patrick gets a chance to point. So they will hold, and that's a good shot. But it took 3, half of their 6, to hold. 2 shots and a point. So it's a good one though from Patrick. It's a good response. Let's see whether it's enough to cause Kierran a problem or 2. 11-2 the score. Kierran and Sai well and truly in charge in this final. Kierran's just long on that occasion. It looked to be fairly straight, but over the top of the target bull. Again, fairly quickly into his rhythm for a second shot. And doesn't miss on that occasion. And stays. So very good shot. Again, putting some pressure on to Patrick. There's probably something like 40 centimetres that he's got to point into. So theoretically doable, but not easy. And he manages it with ease. Lovely point. 3 balls to 2 in favour of Kierran and Sai. It's often been that way so far in this final, that they've had the extra bulls. They've had bulls in hand. And, you know, life looks much simpler with bulls in hand. And when your shooter is not missing. Unerring from Kierran, who dispatches Patrick's bull. Just whenever Bernard and Patrick are trying to establish some kind of foothold in this game, it's ripped out from them.
And then the thing had the temerity to hit the ball.
Patrick again now. Another lovely point. Well played. Terrific.
3 good points.
Well, can't do much more than keep asking the question, which is what Patrick's doing in this end. It's just that so far Kierran and Sai have had the answers. And now Sai shooting. Well, that's got to be a little bit deflating for the opposition when the team you're playing is multifunction. They can do both things. They can point, they can shoot. What can't they do? So with 1 ball left to each team and Kierran and Sai holding, Patrick really, Bernard needs to put this close to limit the damage. They can't afford to give away 2, 13 being the target, being the end of the game. If at worst they can afford to really only give away 1. Bernard points, and it's in second position. But it's a good one. Sai now to shoot with the last bull for this end. And he's just missed. Just missed. So it looks like, I beg your pardon, that was Bernard actually holding that last end, and meaning they won 1 point. So when Sai was shooting, it was for the game, for tir à gagner. If he'd hit that one and stayed, they would have had 2 and 1, as it was 2 and 1 the game. As it was, he missed, meaning Patrick and Bernard hang in there and score a 3rd point. Patrick with the opening point of this end, and it's not bad, it's straight, but it is short. And so Kierran and Sai don't need to shoot. They're happy to see Sai point this end. And he successfully wins the point, undertakes the reprise, as they say, and wins the point back from Patrick. At 11-3, they can't afford to leave that one too close, and so Bernard chooses to attack. And he's short and he is left. So this is a slightly familiar story. Immediately pressure on Patrick and Bernard. Patrick in the ring now. Probably 20 centimetres to play with. That's a lovely point. Beautiful point, and applauded by teammate Bernard. So Patrick and Bernard hold. Kierran and Sai in second position with the bull behind, which is Sai's. And Kierran now in the ring, 11-3 up, shooting. And no problem there. Just as he's been this whole game, very consistent and removes the opposition's bull. No fuss. No mess. Terrific play. You can really feel for Patrick and Bernard, who are doing everything they can to make a mark in this game, but they're struggling to get a foothold. Patrick in the ring. Can he ask the shooter a question again? He certainly can. Terrific play. Kosh moved. It's closer to Sai's bull, but Patrick holds. Great shot there of the Kosh and the bulls. So, again, Kierran with the job. I mean, all you can do is really ask the question of the shooter, and Patrick's done so again there. Let's see whether Kierran continues to have the answers. And he does. Superb shot. And he really got no particular space or room up there between the Kosh and the bull and Sai's ball as well. He's short. He's probably 20 or 30 centimetres short of the target bull, but with a friendly bounce is able to dispatch it, meaning that with 3 balls to 2 in hand, their way, they hold 1. Bernard checking how many bulls indeed are left. And with Kierran and Sai holding the 12th point on the ground and with 1 bull advantage. Oh, Bernard was shooting there because they held the second placed bull and would have held if they'd been able to dispatch that one, but unfortunately Sai's bull remained. Kosh moved slightly, which in fact makes a little bit more space, but it's now a dire situation. 3 bulls on 1, and Sai and Kierran with 12 points on the ground. The 12th point on the ground. It's looking ominous for Patrick and Bernard. So can Bernard ask another question and force Kierran and Sai to shoot to win? Last bull from Bernard. It's very close to the dead bull line. And in fact, it is out. And again, that could be a very telling moment. At 11-3 up and holding one on the ground already, it looks to be a fairly straightforward matter for Sai to roll in the winning point. Let's have a look. And that looks to be enough. And congratulations there from Bernard and Patrick to Sai and Kierran, the winners of this year's Linares Doubles Memorial Open Tournament here in Newcastle. That's all from us, and we hope you enjoyed this coverage of the tournament, of the final, and see you on the piste next time.